Welcome to Finding the Modern Man podcast. Join me, Peter Kiricosta, your health and performance expert and self-leadership coach, as myself and my guests discuss and uncover what it means to be a man in today's society, helping you optimize physical, mental, and emotional health in order to create a life with purpose and passion in the changing world that we live in. Welcome back to another episode of Finding the Modern Man podcast. In today's episode, we're going on a more physical level and looking at exercise and training. Now, this is more general, looking at changing movement patterns, how to start choosing what kind of exercise would better suit you. When we're dealing with specific sports and athletic development, it is going to be rather different. So please take that into consideration because we can cover that in other episodes. But today, let's get into this and start with what is the best form of training to get fit? Well, there's one simple answer. There isn't one. Unfortunately not, because as you've heard me before mention in other episodes, it depends. It depends on multiple factors. And this is what we're going to get into today as well. So we're looking at what is optimal for you, which is different to the next person, to the last person, to someone else you know. Gender comes into it. Multitude of things come into this approach. So let's not get caught up on what is the perfect way or the best way. And let's look at progress. Because let's not let perfection get in the way of progress. Now, there is a definitive need to move. As humans, we are built to move. We naturally want to move. You see from when we're kids, they thrive off moving, getting outside, wearing themselves out of bed, being active. As humans, this is so important as well because we need to expend a bit of energy in order to make more and feel energetic. It's about being vital, that feeling of vitality. From the Chinese philosophy perspective, we're looking at qi flow and life force. This is what we're after because we are living our life and we need to have that feeling of vitality to get through it in a much stronger and much more successful way. As an analogy, let's look at cars, right? And how human bodies can be a bit like cars. You get that car that's well run in, it's treated well, serviced, driven very sensibly, pushed a little bit, but not too far, and it runs like a dream for many years. You get the car that is just left in the garage, and it's just rusting away. It's seizing up. You try to drive it. It's seized up, very hard to get moving. This is what it's like when we live a sedentary lifestyle and we're on the couch a lot, or we're just not moving because whatever other reasons come into it, we choose not to move our bodies. And then on the other end of the scale, you've got the car that's constantly redlined, driven so hard and not serviced regularly. This car breaks down. So what we want to have a look at is that balance. What is going to help us feel vital and live our lives in a much better way? So we're choosing what's right for you. Some of the variables that I'm going to go into now are constitution, right? Pillar 1, constitution. What is your genetic makeup and how does that play a role? Your workload in your career during the day, your stress and anxiety levels, which is another pillar, and sleep. Now, starting with constitution, as we go through from the iridology perspective, when I'm looking at someone's iris, looking at their natural energy production, what kind of workloads they're more suited to or tolerable of, I'm looking at, okay, does this person have a naturally strong constitution? Well, yeah, they can tolerate higher, more intense workloads. Or am I seeing structures in the iris that indicate this person's going to burn out and lose energy quickly if they take on high intensity exercise or just the frequency of it? or perhaps the duration. They're training for too long. So understanding the deck of cards we've got genetically is different to another person's. And then how can we play this deck of cards the best way possible to feel vital, to get that chi flowing, and to feel strong and healthy? Another factor that comes into it, let's look at the workload. Now, during the day, let's look at two very different industries. We've got the office worker that's working at a desk a lot of the time, and say a construction industry tradie. These two people are going to be expending vastly different amounts of physical energy per day. The tradie is constantly on the move in most areas of construction, using a lot of energy, very physical, very laborious. Whereas the desk worker is going to be using a lot less. They're not going to move much. So looking at exercise either before or after work, the tradie may not need to do as much. They may not have as much energy to punch out the big sessions, and nor do they need to. The desk worker, on the other hand, can tolerate more intense exercise on a regular basis, on average, just because they're not using as much during the day. They are sitting down and their energy stores are not going anywhere during the day, or not in vast quantities anyway. So let's have a look at that training for vitality, to feel alive throughout the day, and avoid pushing to adrenal fatigue. Adrenal fatigue is very important. It's an important thing to think about, because if you've got a high stress load at work, or a highly demanding job physically, and then you're going and smashing yourself in the gym and training really hard as well, your adrenals are pumping out a lot. There's going to be a lot of adrenaline, cortisol running through your body. These are stress hormones. And that can lead to feeling even more deflated, feeling even worse about where you're at, feeling lethargic. So again, where are the ratios of this? It does vary for the individual, and that requires a personalized approach. But these are concepts you can start to think about for yourself. Now, if we have a look at the stress and anxiety part, we live in an era with so much stress and anxiety around us and put onto us as well, be it through work, family life, our friend circle. There are so many areas of our life that can contribute to the stress and anxiety we feel and experience day to day. Now, when it comes to training and stress and anxiety, one thing I really want to point out is try out whether higher level or lower level suit. Because if you're very stressed, naturally, going into a stressful, high intensity training routine can actually bring you down even more. You may need to look at more modalities such as yoga, Pilates, easy rides, swimming, or even if you are doing what is more intense kind of exercise by nature, say like martial arts training, do it at a less intense pace. Do it for less duration. Something that is going to help you level out, get away from the stress, burn some of that off, but not send your body into further stress, having to spend a lot more time and energy recovering and recuperating from that. Yeah, so this is a variable that is very important and also very different from person to person. Okay, so if someone's telling you, oh, this is the best, that's the best, this is what you should do, take it on, listen, maybe give it a go, see if it does or doesn't work, seek the advice of a professional as well if that would work for you better to get a more personalized approach. Another question that I get asked frequently when it comes to training is, what is better, weights or cardio? And I hear a lot of arguments back and forward. Some people prefer one over the other. And to that I say both. Because even if we go into the world of elite athletics, all sports these days, just about every sport uses strength training. Even if it's a cardio sport, they will still do a certain amount of gym work. And even if you're not an athlete, I'm just using that as an example, what we want to use the gym work for is structural health. This is something that really comes into play because if, just say with the tradie, right? If you're using one side of your body a lot, or you're in a job where you use one side, or you're leaning forward a lot if you're at a desk job, sitting down and your body's coming into certain dysfunctional patterns. The work we do in the gym can be functional for your movement patterns and your daily patterns. So if you're constantly rolled in, strengthening the back, stretching the front out, little things like this become functional training for you. But the structural integrity of our spine, of our bones, our muscles, our tendons, our ligaments, this all comes into play with gym work or some kind of resistance work. It doesn't have to be heavy lifting. We've got resistance bands as well. There are a multitude of different approaches you can take to resistance work. But also, there's the hormonal release from it in the body as well. For us guys, you're looking at that growth hormone, testosterone. When we're lifting heavy or moving fast, you get these adaptations and these releases, which also help with the immune system, which help our overall health, which is going to help that sense of vitality and our ability to work better. So are you training for your daily movement patterns? This is something to really consider. And I do urge you to look into what kind of resistance training, what kind of cardio would suit. Because the cardio as well, I come against people that say, I don't like cardio. I just lift weights. Weights is a better. And on. Doesn't matter what's said. But when we're looking in one direction purely, there's a lot that we miss out. The importance of cardio, even if it's low intensity, it's the effect on the heart and lungs. And then that's going to help us transport a lot more oxygen around the body, which means energy, blood around the body. Recovery from illness is going to happen better if our body can pump a lot more blood and oxygen and process a lot of the bio waste and other processes that happen in the body as well when we're unwell or injured. So this comes into effect not just for pure training purposes, but there are other feed-on effects that are important from it. And just one more comment on that. The great Andy Galpin made a comment about the testing that he did on aging populations and resistance training. And he said what they found was people don't grow old as fast as they grow weak. So you can slow down that aging process and have a much healthier, fuller life and more mobile life in later years if you do some simple structural exercises to keep the body ticking over time and throughout the decades. So another thing as well, when it comes to training, moving on from to cardio or weights, mix it up. Get into nature. This is another great way to help the body de-stress. It has a great effect on the nervous system as well in reducing stress on the nervous system. When we get out into nature, be it the ocean or a forest walk, it has a more calming effect because we're more grounded. Humans are built to live in nature as well. So this is a part of getting back to who we are as humans and something that can just break up the monotony, because it's not always great to be in the gym all the time, every day, every session, or just to do one mode of cardio. Get into nature, mix it up. Variety, when we're looking at general health and general training, variety is amazing. The body thrives off it. You'll keep going with little steps of progress, And also, you won't get bored as quickly. So that's another variable that comes into play. And I feel it's very important to get a hold of, mix it up. Get out of your comfort zone in that way too, which is really cool because you can have some new experiences in that way also. One of the things that I feel is also a very important variable to cover is the way we've been conditioned to train. So let's say if we're talking about gym work, I know a lot of people don't like gym environments and they don't like training the stereotypical way. And that's great. I think that's wonderful because we have been conditioned for the bodybuilding mode of training. And this is what a lot of people end up doing, even though it's not functional for them. They don't enjoy it and they don't get much benefit from it besides muscular growth. And what I mean by the bodybuilding way of training is isolating biceps, triceps, just chest or legs day. We don't need to train that way for good function and good health. There are a lot of other things like compound exercises which use multiple body parts, which are great for balance. There are great things for increasing the nervous system response from the brain to the body, the impulses. Again, this is very personalized and needing to know and assess where your body's at and where your nervous system is at, in accordance to what would then work best for you at this point in time, which can also be different down the track. What we need over time can change, and this is great. Coming back to variety, awesome long term, keeps us growing, keeps us thriving. Another thing that is important as well is looking at sleep. Now, it's widely accepted that up to 8 hours sleep, between 6 to 8 hours sleep, is what most people require to be healthy sleep-wise. And what happens in our sleep? A number of things, but recovery, regeneration of our body, sorting the mind, sorting out what happened through the day, solidifying memories. So not only look at how many hours sleep are you getting, but what is the depth and the quality of sleep? Because if you're not sleeping well, you're not recovering well, your body won't respond to training as well, which might require you to step back, take it easier, or look at ways that you can increase the depth of sleep. Again, this is a personalized process and isn't so black and white, the one size fits all. But this is another thing to consider. There are other sleep apps that can help you track the depth of sleep and how long you're there too. This is something that you can use for yourself and give it a go. But sleep hygiene is very important. And perhaps we can cover this in another episode as well. Sleep hygiene is the process, the half hour to hour before you go to sleep. What are you doing? Are you switching off the screens? Are you dimming the lights? Getting the mind and the body and the nervous system ready for sleep, winding it down so you calmly drop into sleep, because then you'll go deeper. There's a better chance you'll sleep for longer and your mind won't be quite as active. And also, what do you enjoy doing? When it comes to physical movement, not everyone loves moving. But if you can find something that you enjoy, great, incorporate that in. Again, going back to the nature, maybe that's something you enjoy. Maybe there's an activity that may not be perfect, but gets the body moving, gets you burning some energy, gets your brain and your body switching on, challenging coordination, making you use your body and think and get into a flow. This is wonderful as well. If you can find something is better than nothing, because often we get stuck in thinking that we have to do X amount of hours or a certain type of intensity. No, something is better than nothing. Consistency is the key, not intensity. Consistent effort compounds and grows over time, and then you'll be shocked to where you can be in 3, 6, 12 months' time with just little bits of effort consistently improving, little steps up along the way. So let's change the measure of progress. Instead of looking at how much we're lifting or how long we're training for or what certain stats are, what the scales say, let's look at the measure of progress of being, am I able to sustain this level of training long term? Yes or no? Is this improving my daily movement patterns, as we mentioned before, from work? Or just say if you've got kids, constantly carrying a kid on one side. Are you stretching out that side? Is it helping your daily movement patterns? How is my mental health? Is my mental health good? Do I feel vital? Or do I look amazing in the mirror by social standards and feel completely deprived of food, completely deprived of energy, deprived of myself? Because we can overtrain. And then when we overtrain, push it too hard, or do the type of exercise that doesn't suit our bodies, our energy levels are going to go down, and so does our nervous system response, and so does our mood, our mentality, our mental health. And one thing as well, which also brings in the pillar of mindset. Do I like what and who I see in the mirror? This is a very important and underrated thing as well. And also, there are many shades of grey in here. Because you can have an amazing looking body. You can be sculpted like an Adonis and feel absolutely horrible about yourself and self-loathing. You might be doing all the right things in your life to feel vital, to feel more energetic. Maybe you carry a few extra kilos, or maybe you're just a bit average physique-wise, but look in the mirror and go, yeah, I look good today. I feel good. I like who I am. I like what I see. This is very important as well. So I hope today has helped reframe some of the areas that we can change the way we train and the way we can move forward physically and keep this vessel and our body going year after year for the rest of our lives, because we do rely on this vessel to carry us through the years. And if you have any questions, get in touch. If you want me to expand on other points, let me know. We can do this in future episodes. But hopefully you got something from these variables. Go through again, have a listen, share with a friend, discuss it with them, and see where you both might be able to hold each other accountable and also make that progress and stay on track and choose something for you that keeps you vital, helps slow down the aging process, and helps you look in the mirror and say, I like who and what I am. This is the man I am, and this is good. I'm working to progress. Thank you again for listening, and we'll see you again next episode. Just a friendly reminder that what we discussed today does not constitute personalized advice. If you're planning on making significant changes to your life, creating a pathway suited to your specific needs and goals is recommended. Also, if you have any questions or topics you would like me to cover on future episodes, please get in touch via social media or through the website. And thank you again, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.